€22,300,000,000. That was the loss recorded in a single year by Stellantis, the owner of Jeep, Fiat, Peugeot, Dodge, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and 8 other brands. The first annual loss in the company's history. Headlines around the world repeated the same message: 22 billion had disappeared. Except this was not 22 billion that had drained from the accounts all at once. Most of the loss consisted of impairments and other one-time charges. The company acknowledged that some projects, contracts, and manufacturing plans created for its former electric future would no longer pay for themselves. Most of the value had been lost earlier. In February, the accountants merely issued its death certificate. Approximately €6.5 billion of that amount will leave as real cash, gradually over 4 years beginning in 2026. But some of the blood was real. The dividend was canceled. The balance sheet had to be strengthened. That leads to a different question. How can one incorrect assumption about the future cost so much? The answer is not only electric vehicles, and it is not only cost-cutting. It lies in what this merger appears to have subtracted from the company, and what almost nobody noticed while the shared answer remained correct. 2. Assumptions. In 2014, Sergio Marchionne, the head of Fiat Chrysler, spoke in Washington. The subject turned to the electric Fiat 500e, and Marchionne told the audience from the stage, "I hope you do not buy it, because every unit sold costs me $14,000.
The head of an automobile group was publicly asking people not to buy his own car. That was one instinct. The Italian-American executive believed that regulators were forcing the company to sell a technology on which it lost money. Across the English Channel, another approach was taking shape. France's PSA, Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, and Vauxhall, was developing platforms capable of accepting different types of powertrain. PSA did not know the exact answer either, so it tried to preserve the ability to change that answer later. 2 companies, 2 different ways to survive uncertainty. In January 2021, they were stitched together into one. The result was Stellantis, the world's 4th largest automaker with 14 brands. The man doing the stitching was Carlos Tavares, for whom unnecessary spending was a personal insult. He extracted savings quickly, and for a couple of years, Stellantis reported record profits for a mass-market automaker. But along with duplicate expenses, the company appears to have reduced the number of independent attempts to predict the future. Its parts could still argue. Their bet was now shared. One bet. In March 2022, the company took the stage with a strategy extending a decade into the future. Its name was Dare Forward. Its meaning was a complete transition to electric passenger vehicles in Europe by 2030, and tens of billions in investment in that future. One strategy, one corporate answer to a question that had contained 2 different instincts before the merger. But demand developed more slowly than expected, especially in America. And the issue there was not only the buyers. The government changed its emissions rules, and some plans created for the previous requirements lost their former meaning. Other manufacturers made a similar bet. But at Stellantis, it covered 2 continents and 14 brands at once, with shared platforms, batteries, suppliers, and a single investment plan. That meant reassessing more than one vehicle or one factory. An entire system had to be rebuilt. That is where the scale came from. Not because the mistake was 14 times larger, but because one answer had been embedded across many brands, factories, and contracts at once. Saving money on development can become saving money on the number of independent attempts. Stellantis learned the price of that risk for
for the first time. Shared warning. Several years before the enormous impairment, the company had already received a smaller warning about the price of unification. It can be seen in a single engine. The small three-cylinder PureTech gasoline engine appeared beneath the hoods of several brands from the former PSA group. The decision had been made before Stellantis existed, and at first the engine collected industry awards. Its timing belt operates inside the engine oil. Over time, the belt could deteriorate. Particles entered the lubrication system, clogged the oil pickup, reduced pressure, and put the engine at risk of severe damage. A single component turned a local defect into a problem affecting several brands at once. Owners across Europe faced failures in cars only a few years old, and repair bills running into thousands of euros. PureTech was not a Stellantis mistake. It was a warning already visible to the new company. Shared architecture saves billions, while the decision is correct. When it is wrong, the brands stop insuring one another. We have already seen the same trap in aviation. Spirit Airlines saved money with a uniform fleet, until an engine defect grounded almost one aircraft in 5. Meanwhile, American dealers wrote an open letter to management. They argued that high prices, aging inventory, and the pursuit of short-term profit were leaving vehicles stranded on lots and destroying market share. In Britain, the company announced that it would close the Vauxhall factory in Luton. 1,100 jobs. Production there had continued for 120 years. The final van rolled off the line in March 2025. The union called it a betrayal of people who had met every target they were given. The company cited Britain's zero-emission requirements as the reason for the closure. And here, the story closed its own circle. The company was closing a factory while blaming an electric transition that was too fast, and simultaneously preparing to write off billions because it had placed too large a bet on that same transition. By the end of 2024, the board's patience was exhausted. Carlos Tavares was the man who assembled Stellantis, reduced costs, and delivered record profits during its first years. But now, dealers were openly rebelling. Vehicles were accumulating on lots, factories were preparing to close, and forecasts were growing worse. On December 1st, the board accepted his immediate resignation. Formally, Tavares left voluntarily. He later said that board chairman John Elkann had called and told him directly that the trust was gone. And this is what shows the speed of the collapse. Tavares was removed before the annual loss appeared. The company still finished 2024 with a profit. The board was not frightened by what had already happened. It was frightened by what it saw ahead. The man who followed him had one task: call things by their names. Antonio Filosa did that in February in the annual report. In substance, his statement said that the results reflected the cost of reassessing the speed of the energy transition and the need to restore the customer's choice between electric, hybrid, and conventional engines. But the report contained a second and much harsher admission. Some of the one-time charges were connected to warranties and quality problems, and the new leadership connected the deterioration in quality to how far the previous system had gone in cutting costs. In the official report, the new team was effectively dissecting the consequences of the old team's decisions. Tavares later acknowledged that he would have done many things differently. His greatest regret was failing to bring American dealers to his side. And that is revealing. The bet itself did not seem to him to be the principal mistake. The mistake was failing to persuade the people who had to sell its result. Freedom of choice. So, is Stellantis dying? Not yet.
The company returned to profit in the first quarter of 2026, earning approximately 400 million euros. In the second quarter, shipments increased by another 10%. In North America, they increased by 38%. This is not a rescue yet, but the company has already abandoned one answer for everyone. Customers are now offered a choice again: an electric vehicle, a hybrid, or a conventional engine. But restoring that choice was expensive. The workers at the Luton factory paid for it. So did owners of vehicles with defective engines, and the dealers who warned management while vehicles accumulated on their lots. None of them made the strategic decision, but they were the first to feel its price. This is the risk of unification. One platform reduces costs. One strategy accelerates the company. But one mistake also spreads faster. Stellantis is not dead.
It received the most expensive lesson in its short history. Sometimes an extra option is not an unnecessary expense. It is insurance. Every empire leaves a body. We perform the autopsy.